In an ancient Buddhist village, there was a grand hermitage dedicated to Buddha. In that hermitage lived a famous Buddhist monk. One of his disciples couldn't stop talking. He constantly spoke about anything that crossed his mind. When collecting donations, he brought a new story from each house and shared it with the other disciples of the monk. He spoke ill of his fellow disciples, gossiped in front of others, bragged, and always tried to prove that he was the most intelligent and the best disciple in front of the Buddhist monk. He considered himself different and superior to all the disciples, often saying, "My parents are rich. If I wanted to, I could have lived a comfortable and luxurious life. But I decided to give it all up in the name of Buddhism. That's why my sacrifice is greater than yours." One day, the Buddhist monk called all the disciples of the hermitage and said, "All of you must set a goal for the next month. This will strengthen your power of determination. Set the goal you want according to your ability. If any of you fail to achieve your goal within a month, you will return to your previous routine." All the disciples set goals, big or small, according to their capabilities, and then they went to inform the monk about the goals they had set. However, the disciple who wanted to outshine the others went directly to the monk's hut and said, "I don't want to set a small goal to accomplish in a month. I want an ambitious and grand goal just like me. Please tell me what goal I should set." Upon hearing this, the monk smiled and said, "The goal I will give you will be possible for you to complete." "Probably not. You won't be able to complete it. That's why you should set your own goal." The disciple said, "No, monk, please give me a goal. Any goal you give me, I will accomplish." The monk said, "All right then. Your goal is to remain silent for the next month. Not a word will come out of your mouth. That's your goal." The disciple said, "Monk, is this my goal? It's too easy to remain silent for a month. Give me a bigger goal that matches my capacity and that I will have difficulty achieving." The monk replied, "First, accomplish the goal I just gave you." The disciple obeyed the monk and remained silent. Initially, it was easy for him to stay silent, but as the days passed, the burden of not speaking began to increase in his mind. On the third day, he started feeling heavy. On the fourth day, he experienced a strange anxiety. All the other disciples were talking among themselves, and he also wanted to participate in the conversations. He wanted to speak, but his determination prevented him. After some days, the disciple fell ill. He had a severe headache, no appetite, and only wanted to speak. He went to see the monk, sat in front of him, and wrote, "Monk, I want to speak. I can't breathe without speaking. I feel like I'm losing my mind. What should I do? Should I break my goal?" After reading this, the Buddhist monk smiled and said, "Goals are made to be broken, but whoever achieves their goal strengthens their inner strength, and whoever strengthens their inner strength is on the path of power and awakening. Accepting the goal was in your hands, and breaking it is also in your hands. Many disciples have broken their goals and returned to their previous routine. If you can't handle this small goal today, how will you handle the rest of your life? The decision is entirely in your hands." These words wounded the disciple's pride. He left without saying anything and locked himself in his hut. He only came out for essentials and spent the rest of the time in silence. 15 days had passed, and most disciples had failed to meet their goals, but his goal still stood. After taking on the goal of not speaking for a month, he had not uttered a single word. The other disciples were surprised by the silence maintained by the disciple who used to talk incessantly. After 15 days, he went to the Buddhist monk again and wrote, "Monk, I am silent outwardly, but there are many voices inside me. There is much whining and complaining. I'm still talking inside my mind and asking all kinds of questions. The quieter I am on the outside, the noisier I am on the inside. My goal still stands." The Buddhist monk replied, "Yes, you have not yet achieved your goal, but as long as these voices reach your ears, your mind will continue to talk because you have the habit of speaking. You can be silent on the outside, but as long as these voices reach your ears, your mind will continue to talk. You have the habit of speaking, so you can be silent on the outside. But as long as these voices reach your ears, your mind will continue to talk. You have the habit of speaking, so you can be silent on the outside. But as long as these voices reach your ears, your mind will continue to talk. But you will keep talking inside. You must distance yourself from these things and these voices. The disciple left after thanking the monk. He then left his hut in the morning and headed into the forest. Many days passed and his goal was completed, but the disciple did not return. The other disciples feared that some wild animal might have devoured him. Meanwhile, efforts were made to find him, but there was no trace. The other disciples assumed that wild animals had made him their prey, but the Buddhist monk did not think so. One day, another disciple went to see the monk and asked, "Monk, what might have happened to our companion? Have wild animals killed him?" The Buddhist monk replied, "Wild animals might have made him their prey, but there could be another reason he hasn't returned. Perhaps he has obtained what he went to seek." The disciple asked, "Monk, is talking too much so harmful?" The monk responded, "It is often said that one of the many difficulties of being human is the inability to remain in constant silence. We feel the need to talk even when it is unnecessary or can lead to negative consequences. A significant part of our problems comes from our tendency to talk too much. Many arguments and conflicts are caused by excessive talking. We all want to be heard, but often we don't listen to others. Instead, we focus on expressing our own opinions and convincing others that we are right. This only leads to more confrontation and resentment. This pattern of talking without reason or purpose continues throughout our lives, causing unnecessary stress and problems. In this ignorance of speaking without reason or purpose, we lose our time, our life, our understanding, and most importantly, the precious moments we could live, experience, and enjoy. And what do we get in return? Nothing. We learn nothing when we are constantly talking. We also fail to create genuine relationships or listen to others. Only a few people realize what we lose by not closing our mouths when it is not necessary to speak. The disciple asked, "So what is the solution?" The monk replied, "The solution is to remain silent when it is not necessary to speak. We must observe our thoughts, be aware of them, and take control of our minds. This brings miraculous changes in life." After this response, the disciple resolved his questions and left the place. 3 months had passed since the disciple left the hermitage, and there was no news of him. The Buddhist monks had lost hope of his return. One day, to everyone's surprise and joy, the disciple returned. He was not the same person who had left. He had undergone an incredible transformation and emanated a sense of calm and peace from his being. His face radiated tranquility. As soon as he arrived, all the disciples approached him, asking where he had been and what he had done. He also began to speak with the other disciples. All felt that he was no longer as talkative as before. Every word that came out of his mouth flowed smoothly and sweetly, saying just enough to communicate what he desired. After speaking with the disciples for a while, he went directly to the Buddhist monk and said, "I am still silent. My goal has been fulfilled." The monk carefully looked into the disciple's eyes for a while and said, "Yes, you remain silent. Not a single word has come out of your mouth, and your goal still stands." The disciple replied, "When I left the hermitage, I was silent on the outside, but there were many voices inside me, many questions in my mind that didn't stop. So, I went to the forest hoping to find peace. However, the deeper I went into solitude, the stronger the voice inside me became. I began to hear the voice inside me. Then, when I realized how wrong I was when I used to speak ill of my family, friends, and Buddhist monks, at that moment, I felt I was saying the right thing. Even when gossiping and mocking the Buddhist monks, I felt I was better than them. But that day, for the first time, I realized how wrong I had been for a long time. Those voices and complaints continued within me, but gradually, all those voices disappeared from within me. Now, I am at peace inside. In that dense forest, there was no one to talk to, and there was no voice left inside me. I understood the true meaning of silence for the first time that day. There was peace around me. Now I could appreciate the beauty that surrounded me all this time in the forest. The sound of the wind, the singing of birds, and the sound of flowing water. I heard all these sounds with full awareness for the first time. Never before had I felt so much peace around me. Dear monk, I had a conversation with my fellow disciples and with you. I'm talking, walking, and observing everything around me. However, I feel completely isolated and in silence even when I try to express myself. I still feel isolated. Now I can see everything clearly and hear everything more clearly. The Buddhist monk said, "The restlessness within us is caused by excessive talking outwardly. However, when we turn inward, we remain calm no matter what we say. We say that most of the evil in the world originates from our speech because we fear silence. We speak more than necessary and fail to listen to others. Instead, we interrupt them to try to give ourselves unnecessary importance. This becomes the purpose of our lives, and all our energy is wasted on meaningless conversations. A society like this is full of sadness because people don't listen to each other or try to understand each other. They don't know the value of silence because it makes them feel small. The reason behind all the battles in the world is our senseless speech. Therefore, we should speak only what is necessary to understand each other. Unnecessary talking never allows us to go inward and always pulls us outward. If we wish to turn towards our inner world, we must keep our mouths closed. That's why all the Buddhas who attained enlightenment ran towards solitude to avoid speaking too much and listening too much. They remained calm in solitude, which allowed them to travel inward easily, even while living in this world. We can live in solitude and remain calm, but for that, we must conserve the energy we waste in senseless words. The lesson of this story is that speaking in vain is a loss of energy. Those who wish to journey inward must keep their mouths closed. In this way, they will find space and energy to discover all the inner richness that awaits them. I hope this video has been helpful, and you can apply it to live a life with more richness and meaning. If you liked it, leave a like and subscribe so you don't miss more content like this. Thank you very much for reaching this point. See you soon.